And we are rolling. So welcome, everybody. I'm sure we'll have some more people rolling in here momentarily. This is our Friday, we call it Finish Strong Friday. This is our mindset call, mindset training for 8-figure dream lifestyle. My name is Jeffrey Howard. You can call me Jeff, my friends do. Or you can call me Mr. Howard if you want. Don't want to be my friend. We do these calls every Friday. This is my favorite. This is the favorite training that we do throughout the week, in my opinion. I mean, this is just something that Eric and I are totally dialed into, is the whole concept of mindset. The reason being that, success or failure starts with what's going on in your head. And we're going to talk a lot about that today on a particularly exciting and very touchy topic. And we'll roll that out here in just a minute. But by way of a little bit of background, and Jay, I'm not sure that we've met before. Stacy, certainly we have not. Joy, you've heard this, so you can kick back and be bored with the introduction. But I've been around this industry for about 22 years. And when I say the industry, what I'm referring to is the home-based business industry. Let's just put it that way. So been involved with about 30 different companies over the course of 22 years. In fact, this May will be my 22nd anniversary since I fired my last boss. Happy about that. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of roller coasters, but I would not trade my worst day as an entrepreneur for my best day working at a day job. And, I think you'll find out by spending some time in this community why we feel that way. Been successful in several companies, 9 out of 30, not too bad, I suppose, as far as entrepreneurial statistics go. My definition of success really is just a financial one. It's 6 figures or better. And the last 5 in a row have been 6 figures. So I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. So maybe there's something that we can share with you that will help you as well. Also a single dad, musician. I got a whole long history we won't go into because we got a lot to cover today. But let me toss it over to Eric here and let him introduce himself, and then we'll get rolling with the show.
Hey everyone, my name is Eric Jacobson. I am the co-host for this Finish Strong Friday Mindset Zoom meeting. And welcome. I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you made it. Mindset, both Jeff and I feel is the number one most important thing, is how you approach internally in this business or any business. Mindset-wise has way more to do with your success than what you're physically doing in the business. Like at the calls you're making, the text messages, the emails, those things are secondary to your internal approach about mindset and specifically today, I think today's topic is going to be a great one for everybody that's here and everybody that's watching this on the recording. And so we're excited to roll that out. Hey, Jeff, just a housekeeping thing. Can you give the hosting back over to me? Because I know that you're going to be doing most of the talking here, and then I can handle the muting and unmuting and all that stuff.
I would be happy to do that if I knew exactly.
You click on participants, and then
okay. Gotcha.
More.
And then more and make host. Okay.
Got it.
You got it.
All right.
The controls.
So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jeff, to kick it off, and then I'm going to kind of act as the moderator and ask questions, get into more depth as Jeff is covering this topic. So cool.
Okay, awesome. Well, so I gave a lot of thought to what we wanted to talk about today. Had a lot of conversations with people over the last couple of weeks inside the community. And of course, we're always interacting through Facebook and whatnot. And I realized there's a topic that we've sort of covered lightly, but we haven't really covered to the extent that it needs to be covered. So here's what I'd like to do. There's 2 particularly important factors that I really want to deal with today. And the first one is, well, it's all really about money, to be honest with you. Money. We have to talk about money. We really have to get this conversation open. We have to get it on the table, maybe for the first time, honestly and authentically in your whole life for some of you, perhaps. Because this one block is probably the biggest single issue that's holding you back from taking a huge leap in your business. If you're not where you want to be, we talk about this generally, on these mindset training calls. If you're not where you want to be in your life, there's something going on that's creating that, that's attracting that energetically. There's thoughts happening in your head. There's the self-talk. There's all kinds of things that that may, may be impeding you from being where you really want to be. So if you really want to get your mind around having a successful 6-figure or maybe even a 7-figure or more business with 8-figure dream lifestyle or anything else that you're doing, we first need to talk about your relationship with money. We have to get this money conversation out of the way. So let's just keep it plain and simple. What is money? What is it really? Money is really pretty simple. It's a medium of exchange. Happens to be the chosen primary medium of exchange on planet Earth for about the last 6,000 years. So, whether it was, shekels or stones or skins or whatever it might have been, that was the exchange method. Okay. So we just need to accept that. Can we accept that? Is that okay if we accept that money in itself actually has no meaning? And the only value it has, other than as a general medium of exchange, is what we all agree that it has. Money's not good. It's not bad. It's certainly not evil. Although the old, money is the root of all evil tape is playing for a lot of people, especially the kind of people who do the kind of businesses that we do or the kind of work that we do. And so if you have any negative emotions surrounding money, it will hinder your ability to keep money in your life. So whether it's in your personal life or your business. So we're working on building your business. So we're going to primarily stay focused on that. But honestly, it all bleeds over on both sides. So,
hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Housekeeping. Can you move your microphone just a little bit closer to you? So get a little bit more.
Sure. It's probably
there you go.
Up in my face. Is that better? Okay.
Cool. Way better. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So back on the topic. So because money happens to be the method of exchange on the planet, interestingly enough, the more you have of it, the more experiences you get to have. And that's what develops us. That's what creates the human experience. That's where we're able to grow as human beings. So basically more money equals more growth, and more money equals more opportunity, and more money equals more experiences. More money really equals more choices, and what I like to say is more freedom. And freedom is really what is at the core of all of this for me. That might not be the main thing for you, but that's what it is for me. And it's important as you go through this process today that you get clear on what it is that you really want, because I guarantee you that money isn't really what you want. That's just the vehicle that's going to get you what you want. And so you can sit there and think, well, all these things I'm saying about money, well, that's not fair. That's not right. Or some families are just born with money, or that person's really brilliant, or listen to this guy talk. He's already been there and made money in this business. And, I haven't made money like that. And if any of those thoughts are going through your head or anything like that, I'm telling you right now, that's your money stuff coming up. The thing is you're really, really brilliant at what you do. And you have a vehicle in front of you that has all the components of having you shine beyond what you even imagined as being as brilliant as you are. Honestly, here's my opinion. If you weren't really brilliant, you wouldn't be here in the first place. You wouldn't even be experiencing this message. But because you're curious, you're looking for answers, you're looking for an upgrade, you're showing up on this training. And in fact, bigger picture is that you showed up in the community of 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle. You made an investment in yourself to be here. Okay. So that's your genius showing up. You have genius in your DNA. You have an amazing brain. You'll hear me talk about brain function a lot on these calls. You have vision. You have passion. You're brilliant. So you deserve to be paid what you're worth for doing something that you love and that you care about. And again, I'm assuming that the only reason you're here isn't because, wow, I can make a ton of money and isn't that awesome? So let me put this in better perspective and let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you believe that the 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle business, just looking at this component of it, okay, do you believe that this business has the ability to change people's lives? If they come into that conduit through you, if you get to be the tunnel that they get to come through to get to 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle, do you believe, honestly, that that's an opportunity that can change someone's life? And I'm going to actually ask you to type into the chat, yes or no, whether you believe that or not. And then I'm going to pass it over to Eric, and I'm going to say, Eric, does this business have the ability to change your life?
Well, yeah, I absolutely know that it has the ability to change your life because it's changed.
Funny you should ask, right?
That's the bottom line. How do I know? Because my life has changed more than anybody could ever imagine as a direct result from 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle. So I know that to be a fact. I know it to be true, without 100%. A doubt, right?
So, and for some people that might mean they need more, having more money in their lives. Obviously that was a huge factor for, quite frankly, for both of us when we first got started with this business. It might mean overcoming other types of obstacles that happen by being part of this community and attending these trainings and raising your own bar. And I mean, it could happen in a lot of different ways. It might mean inspiring somebody to really put their own message out there, maybe write their book, or, you know, build their Facebook page, or go out there and create their own personal brand. Because remember, our products, aside from the business model, our products are designed to help you to apply those to whatever business you are in or whatever business you want to create. And we're always encouraging you to actually go out and do that, to build around your own personal brand and the things that you're passionate about. So going back to the question, do you believe that you know, the work that we do here, or the value of 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle, has the ability to change people's lives in a positive way? I'm guessing that your answer is yes. I'm going to look at the chat because I didn't actually look. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. Yep. Can you move your mic a little closer? Okay, got that one. All right. So we're all on the same page here, that this business has the ability to change people's lives. So, and I knew your answer was yes, because honestly, we don't attract people who are really in it for the money. I haven't talked to everybody in our community, but I've communicated directly or indirectly with a great many people that are part of our community. And this is the most amazing group of people with the biggest, most open hearts that I've ever seen in any single organization in 22 years of being in this industry. And that is just, I'm not blowing smoke here, you guys. That is for real, okay? It actually kind of chokes me up a little bit to even talk about it, because it's a very unique place. So clearly the work that we're doing here has the ability to change people's lives. And the reason I already knew your answer was going to be yes, because I've asked the question a lot of times to a lot of people, and they always say yes. You know, you wouldn't be here unless you had some level of visionary in you, if you weren't passionate about something. You know, maybe for me, like, that's always been coaching. Okay. Coaching is what I enjoy the most. That's why I love these calls on Friday so much, and even the more strategic ones that I do on Mondays than Eric does on Friday mornings. You know, we enjoy that because the coaching part, to inspire, motivate, and give somebody a strategy that can change their life, that's what really motivates us. So, right. So that's the easy part. We know that we love most aspects about the work. So usually the biggest disconnect comes around the money. And it usually comes up when we have to ask for money for some reason. You know, money changes. I mean, that whole money conversation, it changes the whole game. It changes the whole conversation. So, you know, we can be really good at what we do, you know, connecting with people, you know, you get engaged with that potential member, you're confident, you're energized, you're totally feeling alive and motivated. They've been through the webinar, you know, they've maybe been a guest on one of these trainings, and then, but they're not, you know, they're not jumping through the phone at you and saying, okay, how do I sign up? How do I sign up? So you're really trying to help this person, and you're really connecting. And then you get time for enrollment, and what happens? Your whole energy shifts. And then you go, well, you know, you wouldn't want to, you know, join the business, would you? You know, like, the whole energy around it when it comes to talking about money changes everything. So it may not be that extreme, for you, but it's really definitely that kind of energy. So, you know, the entire conversation shifts when you start to talk about the price of the programs and how somebody gets enrolled and that sort of thing. Well, of course, we have mentors and third parties that can help you with those conversations. But the point I'm trying to make is, how is your energy shifting around money, about the conversation of money? Like, you're excited about the business, but when you have to ask for money, does something change for you? So again, let me ask the question, move down the path a little further. So if wherever you are in this process, if you can help make a potential member understand the change that you can help them create, then they're going to benefit from working with you. Is that right? Would you guys agree that that's true? They're going to benefit in some way. Okay. So let me ask this for you, ask this of you a different way though. If you can't make, I'm just going to say it in real terms, right? If you can't make that sale, yes, I said sale, you know, people have an aversion to that. We're going to talk about that today too. Who's going to miss out? Like, who really loses? Well, you might say they're going to lose, or you might say you're going to lose because you're not going to get the money. But I would venture to say that you're both going to lose, that we're both going to lose if that person doesn't get involved with what we do. We don't have the ability to help them. We don't have the ability to raise the bar for them, to introduce them to this amazing community, to give them access to these products that are going to change their lives, to help them to make money. And of course, they don't get the benefit of all those things. We don't get the benefit of helping people, which is what we really want to do in the first place. And again, if there's somebody here who's motivated primarily by something else besides helping people to change their lives, of which a direct side effect is making money, would you just let me know in the chat and let me know if there's something else if there's something I'm missing here? Because this is almost 100% of the time that when I talk to people about this, they're very interested in helping other people. Almost everybody says that as their very first reason that they're doing this. They want to help people, just the kind of people that we attract. So again, you're going to lose because you're going to miss out on the opportunity that helps to feed your passion and be a catalyst in that person's life and help them to grow and see a major shift take place and to see the results and the satisfaction the person is going to get in their lives from the work that we're doing here. And then you're going to lose out on the money, and they're going to lose out on the opportunity to work with you and also to make money. So everybody loses if we don't bring people around to the like the experience of being part of this community. So they're never going to get to enjoy and experience the amazing gifts that are here for us. So is this making sense to you guys? And all of this about money. This is money? Really? This is all about money. At the core of this, I guarantee you that's what it is. So, I've been told this is kind of a weird, unusual way to approach a money conversation, but I'm trying to bring great value to you here and having an understanding of, in my coaching business, I primarily worked with coaches, and coaches are coaches and people in the healing trades or practices. I mean, this is probably the most undervalued group of people in the world. The people who have the most to offer see their value as the least for some reason. And on some level, we all sort of fall into that category. So we got to get this money issue handled. And it actually starts with getting clarity around value. So before I go on, does anybody have any questions or Eric, anything that you want to add?
No, not right now. No, okay. Keep going.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, so then let's just sum up where we are so far. And again, if I accomplish nothing else in this training today, I just want to instill that value clarity in you, that you're bringing great value to people. And I want to instill in you your own inner power about that value and what we bring to the table. So regardless of your personal feeling about the value that you're bringing, and we can do an exercise to kind of get clear about that too. You do know that the community itself and the products and what we have available here bring great value. Is there anybody that disagrees with that? Please be honest. Yes, no, maybe chat. No, I doubt it. Okay. Okay. So, if I can't bring that core, sort of energetic philosophical message to you, then I can teach you all the strategies and tactics. I can teach you how to, enroll people. I can teach you all the important elements that are part of running a business like this. But unless you're clear about your value, the value of this program, and then settle your relationship with money, you're subconsciously going to find a way to just let it slip through your fingers. All right. So let's just kind of sum up where we're at. So we've established that money's simple. It's a system of exchange. Provides you with more freedom, more choices, more opportunities, the ability to help yourself, the ability to help other people grow. We've also established that if you don't sell your programs or learn how to enroll people into the business, then everybody loses. You and the person that you're going to be working with and that's going to become part of our community. And let's take it one step further. I want you to think about something that I call the ripple effect. All right. You've heard me talk about you heard us discuss the compound effect. Well, this is the ripple effect. And the ripple effect is the effect that your work is going to have, or what the work that you do in bringing people into the community is going to have on people who you don't even know yet. So what about the people that are going to be affected by the person that you get involved? There are people that you don't even know that you don't know yet that are going to be affected by what it is that we do here. So what about the lives that they're going to touch? What about the people that you may never even know yourself that can lose the opportunity to create a huge shift in themselves because you got stuck in your money stuff and couldn't help somebody to enroll in the program? That's a pretty big what if to consider. So, you came here on some level, you had a vision, a passion, you came here because you wanted to create some sort of change first in yourself, maybe something bigger, maybe in the world. And so if that's you, then you need to stand firmly and confidently on that platform that you created. You have to have the courage and step up and be fearless. And more accurately, actually, it's not being fearless. It's pushing through the fear when the fear comes up, because it always comes up. So again, I don't want to just push a bunch of esoteric stuff here. I want to show you techniques and strategies for making all this work in your life. First, you have to establish the ground rules, though. And one of the ground rules is that we have to deal with our money stuff. I don't care if you want to drive a Ferrari. I don't care if you want to live in a 15-bedroom house. I don't care if you want to stay in your 1-bedroom apartment. That's your business. I know that people make I know people that make 7 figures a year and still live a pretty modest lifestyle. So lifestyle is a choice. This isn't about Lambos and Ferraris necessarily. That's fine if you want to have all that. I'm not here to judge that. I think it's all good. I think it's all amazing. I think it's all beautiful. I think it's all your choice. But honestly, if you don't have money, you don't have the choice, do you? So let's start with dealing with probably the single biggest issue that people run into. I can't tell you how many times I've heard it from prospects. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not good at sales. I've tried sales. It doesn't work. Sales scare me. Okay, so let's just do something really simple here. I want to just paint a picture for you that's going to make it so obvious what's going on with you in terms of your image or your vision of what that looks like. Now, maybe you've got a whole history of sales and you don't think this is an issue for you, but I would just ask you to go through this exercise with me really quickly anyway. So you've heard me use this term sales and selling. I've got no issue about it, but maybe it makes you cringe a little bit. Maybe it creates all sorts of sort of weird, nasty pictures in your head. And again, sales is like money. It's directly associated. It's not negative or positive. It's just a process. All right. That process absolutely does not have to exist as a negative imprint. And that may be what you're putting on it right now. So let's play a little mental picture game. All right. I'm going to help you get more clear about how you actually feel about the concept of selling our products and services, or just selling in general. Okay. So just to make it easier for you, well, actually, I'm going to skip that part. Let's just talk about, I was going to change the term to enrollment, because somehow that's easier for people to sort of digest. But the truth is, if you have to change the word, you still have the issue, okay? So, but we'll call it enrollment, or you can call it selling. It's really just about establishing your value in a compelling way, okay? It's about being persuasive, but in a way that serves both sides. It's about being innovative in the way you approach things and using the right scripts. And when I'm talking about scripts, you've heard me talk about it in trainings. I'm not talking about word for word. I'm talking about an order or a sequence or a process of doing things, okay? A process that you can learn and repeat successfully over and over. So let's establish your baseline first for how you feel about selling. And so knowing that your mind sees in pictures, I want to do a little exercise with you right now, and just humor me, okay? And I can see you, so humor me. So I want you to just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath. And I'm just going to say one word, and I want you to pay really close attention to what shows up for you when I say this word, okay? Just, again, stop for a minute, take a breath, clear your mind, become aware of the pictures that are in your mind right now. And I'm going to say that word. And again, I want you to notice what picture shows up for you. All right, and the word is salesman. Okay, so I know everybody got a picture there. And I've done this for years and years and years and years. And almost, I would say 90+% of the time, one of two images comes up. And I'm just curious, if anybody wants to unmute and tell me, you're welcome to. Tell me what showed up for you, or you can type it into the chat. But I guarantee you something showed up.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, I see a guy in a suit with his jacket open, his collar unbuttoned, is tied down a little bit, kind of standing there, you know, waiting for the battle, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Eric, what do you have?
Well, I had a different.
I was talking to the other Eric, but yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Other Eric, go ahead.
Oh, other Eric, yeah. I had a picture of a door-to-door salesperson, sales guy from probably the 50s or 60s, fuller brush type guy. That's what I saw.
That's hilarious. Okay, I'll come back to comment on that in just a minute. Okay, anybody else want to volunteer? Comment?
Mine's different.
Go ahead. Tell us what you.
My image was Grant Cardone.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. And depending on how you feel about Grant, that can be a negative or positive. He could be. He's a pretty strong personality, no question. Okay, so I've done this literally with thousands of people over the years, you guys, and here's what shows up most of the time. The number one picture, first and foremost, is the used car salesman. Anybody get that one? Did anybody get the used car salesman? Okay, so the sleazy, greasy, like the guy, gold tooth, lots of fake jewelry, chains, the guy that's trying to, like, he'd give away his mom to sell a car, right?
More of a Rolls Royce salesman than a Chevy salesman.
Yeah, I would say it's usually more like I actually have a picture of it in one of my programs. It was classic. It's almost like Vinny, the used car salesman. Yeah. So, and then Eric D, the other one is the door-to-door salesman, which, what's really, and you said Fuller Brush, which actually resonated with me. And some people here might not even know what that was. And here's what's really funny. Okay, so this is the point I want to make to you guys. What's really funny about this is, when was the last time a door-to-door salesman came to your door?
Never.
About 3 months ago.
Okay.
And it was a cable company.
Okay, yeah, cable companies come with the badges. Like, everybody's fully, have to be authorized to come to your door anymore. You can't just go knocking on doors. You have to usually get some kind of a license from the city or whatever. But
khakis, white shirt.
Steak salesman guys.
Steaks?
That sells meat out of the back of their truck or whatever.
Yeah, those guys are really
Those
good.
guys just show up randomly, but it's been about a year or
so my point is, like, it used to be
Rare.
encyclopedias, vacuum cleaners, Fuller Brush, even the Avon lady, right, would come by the door when I was a kid, and we're roughly all in the same age bracket, I guess, somewhere in that range. That hasn't been a common thing for a long time. So if that's the image that's stuck in your head, roll back the tape. How long has that image been stuck in your head? Right? Now if I call you Gary, if I say, well, Gary, you're a salesman, this is 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle. This is about sales. You're a salesman. Is that picture that just showed up for you something that you want to associate yourself with?
No.
Exactly. Exactly. And Eric, same, right?
creates a conflict.
It does. So
It creates a wall right off the bat.
What was that, Gary?
It creates a wall, a barrier right off the bat.
It does. Yeah. Because the simple, bottom line of what it's creating for you is, salesmen aren't good people. Salespeople aren't good people. Sales is not therefore by association, sales is not a good way to make a living. If you have to sell somebody something or sign somebody up or somebody has to go under you or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are all images and tapes and things that are rolling in our head, but let's back it up a little bit. Didn't we already establish that by inviting somebody to be part of this community, that we're giving them a monster opportunity on all kinds of different levels? You know what I've been hearing a lot lately, you guys, is people have been telling me how much they really appreciate, especially all the new products, but really all the products. People are going through the products and saying, you know what, there's real value here. Like, I'm actually I will tell you that I'm kind of seeing some issues show up for me as I go through this process with Joseph's material, the new confidence, I forget what it's called, but the new thing we just rolled out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I'm seeing stuff coming up for me. And this is after 40 years of doing this stuff. I mean, it never really ends. It's always a process of just continuing to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade and raise the bar for yourself. So anyway, yeah. So those two images, the car salesman or the used car salesman, sleazy, greasy, cheap suit, white vinyl shoes, the whole, negative archetype around sales, it largely doesn't even exist in the world anymore, which we established. And the other, again, the door-to-door salesman, same thing, doesn't really even exist in the world anymore. And of course we don't want to be that, but remember, this is only a picture. All right. This was something that was planted in you a long time ago. For some reason, you don't even remember. Like, you don't have probably a physical remembering of the picture that you just saw. You don't probably remember that, like Gary, you said Fuller Brush, not Gary, you said, it was Eric said Fuller Brush. And Do you actually remember a Fuller Brush guy coming to your door?
I do.
Okay. Okay. Well, some of it.
My parents Fuller Brush stuff, and I watched as a kid. They didn't buy, but I watched the whole process, and I watched him walk out rejected.
Okay. All right. So that was interesting. So you watched him walk out rejected. So there's another association. All right. So to that picture, not only is it not like the, super classy guy that you would like to associate yourself with, but then you saw a guy that walks away rejected and dejected when somebody doesn't purchase. So now you're aware of the picture, at least it's been floating around in your subconscious. And that is a representation on some level of what sales means to you. And that awareness is your power to shift into a positive experience around enrolling new clients and new members into what we do here. And, again, it's important to understand our enrollment process or selling process. It's not sleazy. It's not manipulative. In fact, I don't know very many people who would even take what I consider to be a necessary extra step, which is to just ask somebody if they're ready to get started. And it can be as simple as that. Once the presentation has taken place, it's just, are you ready to get started? You guys, try that question with your prospects. Rather than waiting for them to volunteer to sign up, they don't know how to sign up, just for the record. For most of them, they don't know what the process is. They don't have a link in front of them to even pay their admin fee. They don't know what exactly they need to do. They're kind of waiting for you. And so you're both playing this waiting game to see who's going to flinch first. And that's not what we're trying to do here. Remember, not sleazy, not manipulative. It's just simple persuasion through engagement. And that kind of persuasion comes through authenticity. You've heard me talk over and over and over about making real connections with people. Be real with your potential new members. Commit to them a high level of service in your own work. Let them know there's not only me, but an entire community of people here that's going to help you and serve you. Did you have any questions, or are you ready to get started? If you don't ask, I guarantee you most people aren't going to say, man, how soon can I get you that $21,000? What do I have to do to send you that money? They may be ready to do that. They may even want to do that. But for the most part, they're not going to be the one to do it first. All right. And remember, if you're just successful in making that connection with your potential member, you both win. Okay. We already determined that. And then remember that feeling that you get from seeing your clients create positive change in your life. Guys, I can't tell you, how good it feels to me to hear Eric Jacobson tell you how this has changed his life, because I was the catalyst for that change. I mean, he did it. We worked together. He did the work, but I was the catalyst for the change. If it wasn't me picking up the phone and actually burning through my own fear, because honestly, we had been looking at this business model and things similar to that for a few months prior. And he kept saying, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And I hadn't done it myself yet. And that was an influence on my decision. And then finally I said, you know what, we got to do something. And this looks like the right something to do. And I went ahead and moved forward with it. And then I just called him and said, listen, here's what I'm willing to do if you're willing to listen. And he did. And here we are. Okay. So that was power, an awareness and the power to shift what could have been a negative experience, which is knowing that Eric wasn't, really too enthusiastic about the idea initially. I could have just not picked up the phone at all. And it would have changed my financial situation a little bit, but it changed his whole world. So that's the power that we have, you guys. And it's important, again, to recognize our enrollment process. It's not sleazy. It's not manipulative. It's authentic. We're being real with our members. We're being real with our customers and clients. And we're committing to a high level of service. And if you're successful in making that connection with your potential member, remember, you both win. You both get to see the change. You both get to see the ripple. Okay? I have seen Eric go out now, enroll people who enroll people who enroll people. I now have relationships that I never would have had if he wasn't out doing that work. We are creating a ripple effect in the work that we do. There's a lot of people in this community that are creating a ripple effect. And God knows the world needs the ripple right now. So, all right, let's do you want to stop for a second here, see if anybody has questions, anything they want to comment on, or Eric, do you want to add on while I take a drink of water?
Sure. Well, and I guess the way I look at it is very simply, look, the best possible outcome for any prospect that I'm talking to is for them to get started. For them, okay? That's not for me. That's for them. Okay, I'm going to make money, and so I have this kind of this dual thing that's happening in my head as I'm talking to people. The first thing that I never mentioned verbally is like my internal thought is, look, whether this person starts or not has no bearing on my success. Okay? I'm going to be successful whether they ever join me or not. Okay, that has a drawing, that has an attractive of quality to having that internal thought to yourself. And then the second internal thought is that, look, but the best possible thing for them is to get started. The best possible thing for them is to do this, because I know that if they get started and they do this business, it can change their life just like it changed my life. Okay, and if they do it and they have success, they're going to create this ripple that's going to not only change their own life, but they're going to achieve a lot more fulfillment in their life by changing other people's lives. And I'm just kind of reiterating what Jeff is saying, just in a different kind of, just the way that I think about it, just the way I center myself before I start having conversations with people to make sure that I convey. And look, and so by having that mindset that it's the best possible thing for them, when they say, it's not something I'm interested in, I don't just say, okay, bye. And I've had appointment setters that just like, they from the slightest little, amount of resistance, they're just off and to the next thing, because they don't have that same belief as me. I'm like, no, I don't let them off the hook. I'm like, well, what? Why wouldn't you want these kind of results? I don't understand. Is there something else in your life that that can put $20,000 to $30,000 per month in your pocket on an automated basis, and you get to help people in the process, right? Is there something else? Is there something I'm missing? And I don't let them off the hook so easy. And get to the real reason as to why, that's because a lot of times people just say no because it's just a habit. It's just a reaction.
Right.
It's just a way.
No, it isn't.
Like you walk into a store and someone walks up to you. The first thing you say is, "I'm just looking. Stay away.
Right.
Don't talk to me." That's a habit. That's just, and whatever. So on the phone, it's just a habit. And I let them, but I know that the best thing for them, the best possible outcome for them is for them to get started. So let's get past, whatever it is you think this is, and let's get to what it really is and how we can help you. Right.
And that same conversation actually applies to what we're doing, like the activity that we're doing right now. You may be, kind of sitting there figuratively with your arms crossed, or literally with your arms crossed, perhaps thinking, oh, well, this is just more of that, airy-fairy woo-woo stuff, whatever. But again, I want to point you back to the beginning of what I said before. If you're not, like at the very beginning, and we talk about this almost at the beginning of every call, if you're not exactly where you want to be financially, in terms of your happiness, in terms of the level of freedom that you have in your life, or the things that are important to you, if you're not exactly where you want to be right now, there's something going on in you that's stopping that from happening. It's not outside you. You can't point your finger to something else. Yes, we all have circumstances. We all have challenges. We all have stuff that comes up. But today is a good day to start taking personal responsibility for everything that's going on in your life. It's not the program's fault. It's not the leads. It's not the marketing system. It's not the, fill in the blank. It's something going on internally. And you can overcome that stuff. Eric, there's I don't know, there's noise on some line someplace. Can you see if you can figure
It's
that out?
Wilma might have. Did you unmute yourself, Wilma, to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I'm straightening up my desk. Let me.
Oh, yeah, no, don't worry.
You got the controls, Eric. Okay, so I want to run down there's a few things, just a couple of notes that I've taken, and I want to run down a few things just to pay attention to, and then we can get into some interaction here, and I want to just wrap up with another thought. But there's several things that come up with people around money, and you might just, now that we've created this awareness around what your concept of sales is, based on the picture that was in your head, stop and spend a little time with each one of these. I would really encourage you to write them down. Spend a little time and ask yourself some questions around these. So the first one, the biggest issue around money is believing that you don't deserve it. You may have grown up believing that abundance or financial freedom was something that happened to other people. You're not good enough to get rich, or so you can spin that. I deserve wealth. I'm moving toward a life of abundance. Or why is it so easy? We talked about questions last week, and Eric jumped in afterwards, asked me, what about some questions about this? That was great. I'd love to interact that way. So create questions around this so your brain can start being the search engine that it is. People have negative assumptions about money. For example, I mentioned money is the root of all evil. Where the heck did that come from? First of all, that's not even an accurate quote. It's a biblical quote, but it's the love of money is the root of all evil, is what I believe is what the accurate quote is.
Or in any case, the context of the love of money over all things.
Over all things, yeah. Over everything else. It's like, again, money's a tool, and that's it. It's a method of exchange. We've simplified the process today. It's, honestly, money is not the root of all evil. You're a good person. You're a good steward of money. If you're feeling like you're not, again, start reframing, asking yourself some questions. Pay attention to the cues you're getting from your environment. Okay, so we all grew up, before we were even 7 years old, we had already pretty well framed out what our beliefs were around money, and it was based on what we heard at home first. Was there a lot of stress around money in your family? Did your parents fight about money? Did it seem like you're always, were struggling, the family was struggling to pay the bills? Have you gone through that process and repeated that process yourself? What about in your work environment now, or your, even still churches and schools, educational programs, really, they don't have a big vision about money. So pay attention to what shows up for you around those kind of cues that you're getting subconsciously. You're tuning into, there's like a vibration that you're tuning into when people are, negative about money around you. There's a lot of signs that come up. We talked about this a little bit. Pay attention to what shows up. So when you put an intention out there, pay attention to what shows up. So if you say, well, my goal is to create a six-figure income, how can I create a six-figure income this year? How can I create a six-figure income this year? Well, you've asked a question, so pay attention to the answer, because the answer will show up. I'll share just a very quick story with you that I've talked about a couple of times, but about a few years ago, when I was really successful in my coaching business, but it was all one-on-one business coaching, and I felt like my head was spinning half the time. I was, making over six figures in the business, but I had 20 clients, and I literally felt like I had to change hats every couple of hours, and it was really a lot to take on, and I had like zero leverage in my business. It was all just me trading. It was good money, but trading hours for dollars. So I took a little drive to the coast one day, did like a meditation, kind of an intentional process. And I said, what else is available to me? What else could I be doing where I could take advantage of the skill set that I have and make more money with better leverage? And on the way home, I received a phone call, literally while I was driving from the coast back to my house, which is about a 25-minute drive. And it was from a number I didn't recognize. And typically, like you probably, I don't generally answer the phone if it's not a number I don't recognize, because I figure if it's that important, they're going to leave a message. This time I said, well, I just put this out to the universe. Let me at least see who this is. And I picked up the phone, and I heard a recorded message that ultimately, this is about 3.5 years ago, ultimately led me into the first version I was involved with a similar business model, the 8-figure dream lifestyle. And as it turns out, had I not answered the phone, that system didn't leave messages. So I would not have received another call back. I would not have known who it was to call them back, and probably would have just let it go. Instead, I ended up going through a similar interview process to what we do with people now, got involved at what effectively was the VIP level. And I made over $300,000 in 11 months. And that was huge. And I did it in, 5 to 15 hours a week, very similar to the business model we have here. And turn around and, Eric and I were involved with a business previous to this. I did something very similar, process-wise, about 3 or 4 months before we got started, and the 8-figure dream lifestyle started showing up, and it kept showing up, and it kept showing up, and it kept showing up. And finally I took the 2x4 in the forehead and said, okay, maybe we got to pay attention to what's going on here. And once again, got involved, ended up with a multiple 6-figure income inside of a year's time. So blindness to the signs is a disease that will rot away your financial success. So be careful, pay attention. Pay attention to what shows up. It doesn't hurt anything or anybody to at least pursue things as they show up. You don't have to say yes to everything, but at least say yes to taking a look. I do that just with the gut instincts with prospects also. Like I'll have a gut instinct to call John out of the blue, and I'll just pick up the phone right away and call, instead of waiting, just like that comes up. And how often does that, when you do that, does that person say, wow, I was just thinking about you? Or take a look at that. Yeah, that's the universe, or whatever you want to call it. That's God. That's the physics of the energy of the universe, whatever you want to frame, however you want to frame that. You're part of that. Okay. So if you open up your mind and you open up yourself to receiving on that, you will. So pay attention to the signs. Again, an excessively giving mindset is one of the things that causes money to stay away. So in other words, you're more than happy to give your money away, but you're not as happy to take it back. Maybe it's not a conscious thing, but think about, is that a possibility? Are you asking the universe to help you and then refusing the things that show up? So it's similar to the last one. Lack of being specific. So if you set a really clear intention, like my intention was really clear that it wasn't clear about exactly what I wanted it to look like. That part you can leave open, but exactly what I wanted. I want to make at least as much money, if not more, than I already make. I want to do it in less time and have more leverage so that I have more freedom. And that's what showed up. Having low expectations. So whether it's your ability or your faith or whatever that's causing a lack of abundance in your life, your mind's full of doubts, you have low expectations about not being able to do this, that's something you want to pay attention to if those thoughts are showing up for you. And then, of course, the big one is fear of success. We have fear of failure sounds, that's a pretty obvious one. Nobody wants to fail. Eric was talking about the salesman and the look of dejection on his face when his parents didn't buy. That's nobody wants to have that feeling of failure, but you know what? There's a lot more attached to fear of success than fear of failure. And I can't explain it. I don't know why, but sometimes, your subconscious mind just may be terrified of actually getting what you want. Imagine like what would happen if you actually did get rich? I have talked to so many people about this topic, and people say, well, like for example, I've worked with musical artists in the past. They say they want to be famous, but then when it comes down to it, being famous and being rich, well, then I'm not going to have any privacy, and my family's going to get harassed. I'm going to have paparazzi chasing me all over the place, and blah, 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 right? That's the kind of stuff that's coming up. If that's the kind of stuff that's coming up in your head around your success, you got to take a look at that, and you've got to resolve that in some way, or you're not going to be able to have what you really want. So those are some things to just pay attention to as you move forward in these processes. And then I want to just end with something that we kind of talk about in other trainings as well. Hello. And that is the concept of as soon as I do blank, I'll be ready. Okay. As soon as I do blank, we call this getting ready to get ready, right? So as soon as I do blank, I'll be ready. So as soon as I read the next book, or, well, you know what, I'll see what he says on next Friday's training. As soon as I take the next seminar, as soon as I get my next degree, as soon as I have, 5 sales under my belt, as soon as I have another year of experience, I'll be, blah, 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 blah. The truth is you're ready now. And I want you guys to launch right now. Ready, fire, aim. So there may be things that you feel like you don't know well enough to execute right now. But you know what? You're going to learn a lot more by tripping over yourself and falling on your face and putting a Band-Aid on your scraped knee than you are by coming to another training or another 5 trainings or 15 or 18 trainings that we have every single week. Okay. We have every single week we have trainings times 15 or 18 times. Right. So I know most people in this business, when I ask them how many hours a week do you have to dedicate to the business? Oh, I could do 10 to 20 hours a week. Well, if you're spending 18 of them in a training, that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for your actual work on your business, which we refer to as, IPA, income producing activity. And after you do your IPA, you can drink an IPA on Finish Strong Friday and say, I did it and I really knocked it out of the park. So stop getting ready to get ready. There's no blank to fill in. You already have enough experience to get out there. Like I said, fall on your face if you have to. Fail forward fast. You'll learn from the experience. You'll learn to adjust quickly, and it'll work. If you just get out there and do it, I promise you. Promise you this. I promise you this. It will work. Yes.
I want to just one thing, just a housekeeping thing that I know it just got added, and I know we've got a lot of people on this call, and I know most of you have not. That there's just, and not regards to mindset, but just regards to the getting started training that we have. We just added a couple of steps in the getting started training. So you guys should go back for sure and review that. That information is going to help you. And I know that's contrary to what you just said, Jeff. The process, we just made a little tweaks and improvements in the process, and that's going to help you to be clear. Because when you're clear in your head as far as what you need to do and how you need to do it, that's when you take steps, right? So if you're not clear in your head of what you need to do and how you need to do it, then you hesitate, then you don't take steps, then you don't move forward. So that's going to help you to be clear on what it is that you need to do, but do those things in off time. Don't do it. I call this time of the day, until the evening is kind of prime time for your business. And those trainings, I like to do it off time, like after hours or something, or early in the mornings or something like that.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And by the way, they're just short videos, these new things that are added on. And now there's also a checklist, which is going to help you to stop getting ready to get ready.
Daily activity.
Yeah, daily activity.
I had a question for Jeff and for Eric.
Go ahead.
Far away.
How do you guys, or anybody else on this panel, handle, we're all here to help other people, and which will help ourselves. I get that. But when you get a prospect that you really connect with, but they don't have the income, they don't have a credit score, they're really needy, how do you, it's hard to say next and move on.
So there's that.
Handle that in your mind when, Jeff, I'm sorry, you don't have the income, you don't have the credit score. I can't help you. I feel bad, and not useless, but bad that I can't offer up a solution.
So I think that's a great question. And I think it also reflects exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the call. And that is the kind of people that we attract into this business are people with big open hearts that really want to help. Like I could tell, even as you're describing that experience, Gary, that you're like emotionally attached to it. You really, like we all really would love to help everybody. So one of the things that I do in the qualification process, and look, at some point you do have to draw a hard line someplace. Because the truth is, in our business, people either have to have income, credit, or a whole lot of hustle. And I will say, honestly, in my experience, people usually don't have all three. And people who have the limited income or the credit issues usually don't have the level of hustle that it's going to take to do this without those two things. So, we have credit repair. That's certainly an option. Obviously, if you want to talk about the mechanics of how you would go through that process. I don't ever give up on people if I feel like they've got the hustle, I feel like they're really good. And I mean, if that strikes you as a negative, a hustle thing, use a different word, but that's just for me.
Don't really need to work hard.
You got to be super motivated. Like you got to be unstoppable in your belief. If you are in a situation where you don't have the money and you don't have the credit to support yourself in this business, to get started with this business, there's other things you can do. Like Eric and I believe in multiple streams of income. There's other things, sometimes we can direct people to, but that's not what we're here to talk about. With every person, there's going to be a line that you have to stop at. No matter how much you want to help them, they have to be so motivated to help themselves. And here's how you test them, by the way. You put something out there, you make a couple of suggestions. Well, here's one thing we can do. Listen, you obviously can't, you can't qualify for the credit. I'm sorry, I wish that you could, but we could put you in our credit repair program. You're going to need to come up with $750, but that can really accelerate the process, perhaps in a matter of weeks. I've seen it happen even in days, but certainly in a matter of a few weeks, you can probably jump your credit up to where you may be able to qualify for the financing. How would you come up with the $750 to do that? And if they go, well, I don't know, I'm not going to, I don't think I want to do that. And, you have to put some testers out there. You have to be able to qualify people, because look, truth is we can't help everybody. I wish we could. The world would be a completely different place if we could all help everybody out there. But some people have to take some steps themselves, and then they have to come back to you when they've taken that step. I wouldn't be doing that stuff for them either, walking them through every little detail. Say, listen, here are your options. Why don't you plug into that? Come back to me when you've made a decision about how you want to move forward, and let's talk about how to do that. You have to.
My question is really, how do you handle that when I got to walk away from Jeff because he's on disability and he really wants to do something, he doesn't have the credit or the income? How do you say next? How do you get your mind?
How do you say it to them, or what do you do?
Internally.
Handle it. Thank you.
Harvey, you sound like you're raising your hand like you have some input on this. Go ahead.
I've been struggling with this too, Gary, and I understand that it's probably the mentors have probably learned how to just shut it off and be able to walk away from it, and that's probably why I'm not a mentor. But what I've been doing with it is I've been just sideline coaching them as individuals that I'm just helping. And it's understood that they don't have the money, they don't have the credit, they don't have the will to even make this business happen because they're just so down. So what I've done is I've taken the Miracle Morning and I've interjected that into their lives by giving it to them as a free book through Audible and letting them know that, hey, I'm going to be here for you to be accountable to you taking the steps to better your life over the next 3 to 6 months or 5 months or 5 weeks or whatever they say they'll do. And I take that little mentoring process with them outside of ABL and FBL. This is just me helping them, and I'll take 10 minutes every couple of days and check in with them and see how they're doing. And you wouldn't believe, it's gratifying knowing that you're helping them. It helps you separate yourself from the fact you can't help them in the business. And if they'll grow through that, let's face it, there's a reason they're where they're at right now. We've all been somewhere where we don't like being, and that particular place is there because of choices they've made. The compound effect took them down that road. That's why they're there. They can't just hop out of it miraculously. Even if we wanted to pay their fee, put them in and make it happen for them, we still can't do that because it's wasted money. Right. So I put them through a check and balance. Walk through the Miracle Morning with me. We'll touch base once a week. I've got a guy right now. His first name's David, and I'll leave the rest to anonymous because he's probably going to get started in a couple weeks. He's going into credit repair tomorrow, Monday. And he's been talking to me for 3 months, and he's probably going to be able to get in the business now because he's made effort. He was not qualified, but he made effort, and now he's going to get his credit score up, and he's going to be able to get financed, and he's going to get in the business.
That's the hustle. That's the hustle.
Yeah,
you got to have cash, credit, or hustle. And if you don't have it, the hustle, I agree with you 100%, Harvey. Sometimes there's people who honestly, their mindset's not there. I do similar things. I give people resources. You do get to a point where in order to focus on what's important to you in your business, you have to start doing that in groups, because I guarantee you stay in this business long enough and you're going to have dozens, if not hundreds of people like that. And you need to be able to plug them into something that's not requiring you to spend your time unless you really enjoy spending your time that way. you might plug them into a resource list and say, do this. And then maybe once a month you get together with the group of people who are doing that and work on the coaching or the direction part that you're talking about, Harvey. So, that might be a solution as that scales up, because it will scale up. I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there who would love nothing more than to have you focus your time and energy on them, but they haven't earned that yet. So be careful with that, where that line is, It's a hard place, because again, we're all big-hearted people here. We all want to help, but it's a hard place to draw the line. There's also, you want to look for signs of people who, like, I go into disqualification mode pretty quickly. I'm looking to kind of figure out which ones I should be talking to, as opposed to talking to everybody to figure that out. Just ask easy questions to kind of move some people to the curb and see. Even in that text message campaign you guys have been hearing me talk about, when we ask the question about $3,000, are you making $3,000 a month or whatever? And if they say no, then I have a response for that. And it is, well, in our business, you really need to have either cash, credit, or hustle to get started. And the reason I frame it that way is because I want them to come back to me and say, well, I've got the hustle. There's nobody more motivated than me. So that gives me a reason to at least maybe pursue a conversation.
That's good verbiage. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Guys, comments?
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
everyone. Thanks for commes. Thanks, Jeff.
I've
Okay.
sent people to that one of those inspirational things like Les Brown, or I give them a few names and they're like very grateful for that, because that's all I can give them right now, but they're really actually very grateful for that.
For sure. Anybody who's if they got the hustle, they're going to be. And don't assume that people have the resources, you guys. I mean, we've got resources at our fingertips. It's so easy to just plug somebody in. You could go down a laundry list of the top names in personal development, and some of these people that you're talking to, I've never even heard of them. I talk to people, what Tony Robbins? Who's that? Like, really? Have you been living in a cave for the last 40, 30 years?
Hey, here's one all of you should really tune into, and I've gotten so much good information from this over the past couple of years, is School of Greatness podcast. Lewis Howes, School of Greatness. You can pull it up on YouTube. You can pull it up on iTunes podcasts. It's top 10, I believe now, podcast in the world. And he just interviews people from all different walks of life that are doing great things in the world. And it's just very enlightening on a lot of different levels, not just business, everything.
Yeah, that is awesome. Eric turned me on to that one a few months ago, and I'm just all over it. It's really, really good stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, we appreciate you being here. Don't forget, #FSF, Finish Strong Friday. Go out and take care of your business. Have a great weekend. And we will catch up with you guys next week.
Thanks, Jeff and Eric.
All right, see you guys. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, take care.
Mike, were you